My wife is a beautiful CEO. Chapter 4. When the morning sunlight enters through the glass window in Yang Chen's room, Yang Chen stretches himself and prepares to stand up and set out. Suddenly he feels a soft thing entangled to himself. Immediately sobering up, Yang Chen lowers his head to look at the girl. He apparently had brought the drunk girl to his home last night. At this moment she looks like a pristine white lotus flower grasping on his waist. As the blanket slowly falls down onto the floor, it reveals an extruding burst brushing upon his thigh and a tender body embracing the lower part of his body. On her body, there are traces of last night's intense activities. Seeing the fine girl sleeping soundly with an innocent look on her face, Yang Chen could not hold back a sigh. Of all the women he had met, the beauty of this girl is definitely capable of entering the best three. While Yang Chen is admiring the work of art before him, his gaze suddenly stops at a light red bloodstain on the bed sheets. Yang Chen starts to panic as he frowns, and looks at the girl feeling surprised. It is obvious that this was not his bloodstain, but he could not believe the irrational girl from last night was still a virgin. After thinking through all of last night's events, he figures out the situation. The night prior, this bold and seductive girl was probably drugged by the baldy. If not for him kicking their asses, then she would have been their spoil yesterday. It is possible that he was not able to notice that strange situation because of the strong liquor he drank yesterday. While Yang Chen is still sitting on the bed while thinking about how to deal with this situation, the girl sleeping on him starts to stir and wakes up. The sleepy girl opens her eyes, gently looks up and sees Yang Chen peacefully looking at her. The man in front of her looks unfamiliar yet also recognizable. His eyes, his nose, his mouth, and even his breath feel strangely familiar to her. Bits and pieces of what happened yesterday night slowly appear in her memory. She then quickly understands the situation. After Yang Chen knows she is not a prostitute, he is startled about her reaction. Scream loudly. Beat him up and scold him. Telephone the police. Possibly call him a rip-off. If any of these happened, Yang Chen would not feel so guilty. She's free to do what she wants. If she didn't head into that den of predators, nothing would have happened. But she seems to be extremely calm. She slowly rises and smoothly stands up. Yang Chen's breathing stopped as the towel covering her falls down and reveals a body that's like a bright pearl. On her body several places still carry Yang Chen's marks. The girl steps down from the bed while showing absolutely no shame. Seeing the cold calmness makes Yang Chen suddenly feel some pressure. He inhales deeply and says, "I'm really sorry." The girl is dressing up as she hears these three words. She stops for a brief moment, but she does not respond, nor does she turn around. Instead she continues to change. Yang Chen does not continue speaking, but inside his conscience feels as if stones are pressing down on it. For many years he has experienced no guilt towards women since they are a type of therapy to reduce his stress, and he does not think any more than that. But suddenly after a night with this girl his heart is filled with guilt. Yang Chen wonders if this is due to the fact that it's been a while since he took it easy. Not even 5 minutes later, the girl has already finished changing. She fixes her makeup a bit before moving toward the door without saying anything. Yang Chen cannot stop himself from speaking upon seeing the girl wordlessly leaving. "Do you know the way out? Want me to accompany you?" The girl does not stop. She deliberately walks out of the room and consequently closes the door. Yang Chen is astonished looking at the closed door and starts cracking up. This is truly an abnormal girl, being able to calmly wake up, change and then leave his house. But as Yang Chen is about to leave his bed, he hears a few sobs from outside. She seems to be crying, but she doesn't want him to know. It's a pity that she doesn't know Yang Chen's ears are different from a normal human's, thus he can still hear it. Thinking of the girl holding back her tears, Yang Chen feels even more guilty. After slightly reorganizing his thoughts, Yang Chen remembers that he still has a stall of fried goat meat to sell. Even if it's just a small stall, he likes to do it from the beginning as he does not care if there is money or not. Pushing the cart to his own stall and starting the fire, old man Li standing next to Yang Chen smiles. "Little Yang, you're late today. Did you have a date yesterday?" Yang Chen thinks internally, there wasn't an actual date, but there was a date on the bed. But externally he casually answers, please don't start thinking strange things, I just overslept. Old Li laughs out loud and says satisfiedly, our Jingjing had finished her practice and already went home. She even reminds me of your kind gift. If not for you, I wouldn't have enough money for my wife and enough to let Jingjing go on her practice trip. It's all thanks to you. Old Li's Li Jingjing is the old couple's much treasured daughter who just finished university then immediately went for practice the last 2 months, and she just arrived. Yang Chen had met her twice. She looks like a typical girl from southern Yangtze River, but since she is the daughter of his friend, he didn't think much about her. Haha. What gift? Maybe later when I don't have any rice to eat, just let me eat the leftovers for you. Yang Chen jokes. Good. Good. Old man Li suddenly nods, why didn't you remind me? My wife and Jingjing both asked me to invite you over for a meal to thank you. Are you free tonight? This thank you, but you have to work strenuously to feed your family. How could you ask me to eat the hard-earned meal you made? Pretending to be angry, old man Li replied, just a meal of plain food wouldn't cost much. Little Yang shouldn't look down on this old man. Yang Chen helplessly nods and accepts as he is unable to convince the stubborn old man. Old man Li's face brightens up with joy. But at the same moment, the group of delinquents appear again, and a wicked grin forms on the leader's face as he notices Yang Chen with old man Li. Chapter 5. Yang Chen, the money you were told to prepare, is it ready? We need some cash for breakfast and drinks. Chen Feng smirks while turning the silver chain on his wrist. Old man Li anxiously steps in front of Yang Chen and says, Chen Feng, don't bully people too much. Even if your father, Boss Chen, is the boss of the area, what qualifications do you have to collect protection money? Boss Chen already said that as long as a shop is not open, it doesn't have to pay the protection fee. Do you think we don't know that? Chen Feng's father, Chen Dehai, is one of the infamous underworld gang leaders in the Western Zone. If not for that, Chen Feng wouldn't be brazenly collecting protection money everywhere like this. When he hears old man Li threatening him with his father's name, Chen Feng gazes back coldly, old geezer, who the hell do you think you are? Do you think I'll be scared if you mention my dad? He's my dad, not your grandson. I'm nice enough to go and personally collect your money. Instead of the easy way, you want it the hard way, eh? You, as he finishes his sentence, old man Li realizes he almost offended Boss Chen. After all, they are still father and son while he's only an outsider. However, he can't back down from the argument he started. But before he's able to continue, Yang Chen from behind pulls him backward. Yang Chen frowns and massages his head as if he has a headache. As he is pulling old Li backward, he nonchalantly says to Chen Feng, you're called Chen Feng, right? I'll call you Big Brother Feng this time, please don't make a mountain out of a molehill, I don't want any trouble either. However, I don't have money today, but rest assured I'll give it to you in a few days, so you should go back first. One goon starts laughing, Big Bro Feng, does this brat think he's the boss? Does he expect us to actually go when he tells us to? The other delinquents also start laughing, some even want to teach this brat a lesson. Chen Feng looks like he's watching funniest joke in the world, but he is currently enraged by Yang Chen's line. He then smiles maliciously, Yang Chen, wanna repeat what you just said again? Wanna get you tongue cut off? His eyes show a glimpse of ruthlessness as he finishes his sentence. Yang Chen then starts to lose his cool and says while looking at Chen Feng. Do you know what type of people I hate the most? What? Chen Feng is unable to finish his sentence as he finds his body in midair and his stomach in pain. Then, with a pomp tn, hey 3, he lands on a pile of garbage on the side of the road as clothes get soaked with rancid water and covered with musty leftover food. The type of people I hate the most are people who threaten me. Yang Chen only made one simple push. He pulls back his arm as he walks toward the spot where Chen Feng was previously standing. Chen Feng is furious from being pushed, his nose and mouth are filled with fresh blood, accompanied with the stench of the garbage. He starts puking when he notices the stench of fresh blood in his nose and mouth accompanied by the stench of garbage. You brat, you dare to beat our brother Feng, do you want to die already? Let's beat him to death. The bunch of delinquents don't understand what happened, nor how Yang Chen achieved that feat, but since they see that their leader got beaten up and they are the majority, the goons start flocking in and fighting chaotically. Yang Chen didn't bother looking as he uses only his hands and pee. The delinquents can only feel their hands or feet get hit by a strong force as their bodies fly backward and hit the cemented road. Unable to tolerate the pain, they start screaming loudly. The gang looks at the uninjured, untouched Yang Chen and realizes they picked the wrong target. Even Chen Feng, who is crawling out of the garbage dump, starts sweating as he sees that his gang of retired soldiers were useless against Yang Chen even though those men were his dad's trump card. Each of them on their own can take on 10 people easily, yet this man in front of them can stay relaxed while rapidly throwing all of them around as if they were cats and dogs. No animals were harmed in the translation process. Even if these goons never studied martial arts, they have been fighting since they were young and went through military training. How does one normal person can fight them to this extent? Let's go. Chen Feng's face is itching with anger, but he is unable to hold onto his dignity when he sees Yang Chen's calm face. As if he's seeing a demon, he hurriedly grabs his goons and runs. Seeing Yang Chen's skills, Old Man Li and several people surround him and shout satisfiedly. Yang Chen has taught the oppressive delinquents, who had always strike fear in their hearts, a lesson. However, these people still want to stay away from Yang Chen as they fear Chen Feng's father, Chen Dehai, will come. They fear that when he does come, he will ask for Yang Chen and they might be affected. Old Li is very excited. Little Yang, I didn't know you have these skills. Did you study martial arts before? Yes, I studied a little. Yang Chen doesn't want to say much. If Chen Feng didn't incite his wrath by bullying other people to such an extent, Yang Chen wouldn't fight back even if he was beaten to death since this is a crowded street. Yet, just like what he has told Chen Feng, he lives by his own rule, and what he hates the most is being threatened. This strange rule can never be changed even if Yang Chen wants to live a silent and humble life since this is his definition of manliness. Old Man Li does not press further seeing that Yang Chen doesn't continue speaking, and he starts worrying. Little Yang, you see, now that Chen Feng got beaten up he'll call his daddy Chen Dehai to come. What will you do? He's an important person to Ximeng, West Side Meng, group, one of the two biggest groups in the West. Nobody dares to annoy him in this area. Ximeng Group A. Yang Chen smiles deprecatingly and suddenly asks Old Li, do you have a cigarette? Old Man Li looks at Yang Chen's indifferent appearance and can only worry for him. Listening to Yang Chen's request for a smoke, he forces a smile and asks, kid, didn't you tell me you stopped smoking? I can't abstain it anymore. Finishing a fight without a smoke, I'm not used to it. Yang Chen sighed silently. He didn't expect Chen Dehai to be from Ximeng Group. He didn't plan to make any connection with these people, and he didn't want to contact Zhang Wei more than he needed. Seems like he just subconsciously got himself into hot water now. Old Man Li pulls out a package of Orchid brand cigarettes that are worth about $1.50 and lights one for Yang Chen. When poor people smoke they have to buy the cheapest kind. This is a strong type, you could smoke it temporarily I guess. Yang Chen inhales a smoke while showing an enjoyable expression. He smirks, not bad, I like the strong type. Young people should not smoke much. It's bad for your health. Old Man Li warns him sincerely. Yang Chen smiles wryly and thinks to himself, if smoking is that dangerous, then all the years I spent practicing martial arts would be a waste. After a slight rest, they start to be busy with work and business. Yang Chen also starts frying his sticks of goat meat while munching on one himself for breakfast. Although this is dirty work, the deliciousness of the meat is rewarding. Once in a while he happily grins at other peddlers. A few moments later, a police car arrives from afar. A police officer wearing a white shirt and two policemen get out and walk to Yang Chen with a serious face. The police officer coldly asks, are you Yang Chen?